Okay, let's call this meeting to order, April 5th, 2021, and at 5:30 PM. Consistent with the governor's orders suspending certain provisions of open meeting law, the public may not physically attend, but in every effort is made to view and list in the meeting. So did we have any public participation today?
No one caught.
No one? Okay. Let's go over approval minutes for February and March. Want to do them separately? Did anyone have any discussion about February's minutes?
No.
There's no discussion. The chair would entertain a motion to approve those minutes for February.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Anything on the March minutes? Any discussion? Maria, did you have anything?
I didn't.
Okay, there's no discussion. The chair would entertain a motion for approval of March minutes.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Number 4 on an agenda, water disputes.
So I'm gonna today dispute. No one come today. We'll push it off.
Okay, so next meeting. Number 5, new business. Joe, anything?
Sure. Does everybody hear that I hear?
I'm getting a lot of echo.
Me too.
How about now?
Much better. Yep.
So let's see, new business. So we're finally through the budget season. So everything went to the finance committee and the council, and the only step we have left is town meeting in May, which for me is the busiest 6 or so weeks of the year. So I'm glad we're at that point. Just a couple of things. We're fully executed now with the extensions for refuse and recycling with JRM. So thank you to the group for working with us and giving us all the insight on that. I think we got a pretty good package for the town. Ann had talked to Black Earth and has gotten the ball rolling on that. I don't know if you want to jump in and fill everybody in on where you left off with them.
Sure. So today the announcement went out. So Black Earth starting May 1st, we'll offer the first 200 people a free 13-gallon compost bin plus 13-gallon liners. So they'll get that for free. It's usually between $28 and $34. We have a little shipping issue with the bins. So the bins will be here right around the 1st of May. Black Earth, they usually get them in 30 days. It's going to take 60 this time, but we will drop them off. So we'll hold the 200 bins and then we'll drop them off to the new customers to start off. So it's nice. Everyone will immediately, once they renew, save $10. So it drops from $99 to $89.99. And then the next drop will drop it down to $69 at 300 customers. So we're at 175 now. So we need an additional 125 to get to that point. So it's great. We've already had some interest. We had a few people sign up today.
Great.
So other than that, it is now April. So we are no longer, or less likely to think winter. So we're getting ready to get everything rolling and get moving on outside and actually building and maintaining stuff. I can report that this year we'll be having a turn back in snow and ice. So we didn't spend all the budget this year. We actually under budget. So we're turning somewhere between $80,000 and $100,000. I don't know exactly where that number is. I probably should have looked it up before we talked, but We ended up having a pretty good year as far as the expenditures were concerned there.
Joe, how much was spent total, do you think?
I can tell you in 2 seconds.
Okay.
I'm gonna say just around 700. Anna probably beat me to it.
Yeah, I was like,
My computer's got a case of the Mondays. I'm sorry. And I'm frozen, so you're gonna have to beat me here.
we did 785.
Okay, thank you.
And that's really it. The one thing I will say, probably for our next meeting, we're going to be thinking this year's round of water rates. So I don't know if it's easier for us to get ahead of things and kind of map out our meetings so we're not down to the wire. I don't know how everybody felt about our timing last year. If we want to bring that ahead, I guess that would be up to the board to really decide. I don't think it won't be as in-depth as it was last year. Obviously, last year was a big lift. This year would be more of just a tune-up, but
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing that, I mean, last year we had a lot to digest, whereas this year I would imagine should be pretty straightforward.
it's pretty much just kind of evaluating what the effect of this last year was, and then seeing what we want to do moving forward.
Yeah,
Did we get, I'm just curious with the new rate structure for this year, it really hit commercial users a little bit harder than your average residential user. Did you get feedback of any kind, Anne or Joe, about, I know we had there was the question about the Lakeside Inn and their, sort of trying to find out what was going on with their water usage, but anyone else, a big commercial user?
I haven't had anything personally to me. The one thing I can tell you is we have to look into it a little bit more in depth, but I bet you're going to see a little bit of effect of Market Street being closed. Because don't forget, we collect the sewer there, which is metered. And they were shut down, for whatever length of time that was there. So that might potentially skew a little bit of our projections. I think we're in a good place. I don't think we're going to have any shortfalls or anything like that, but that's definitely something where we're going to see, some sort of an impact, at least related to that closure.
Mhm.
Outside of any of the rest of it, I don't have anything. I don't know. I don't think, Ann, you have anything.
No.
Outside of the, a request for abatements or just inquiries that we would normally get.
Mhm. Oh, good, that's good.
I can say that, I know it's online chatter, but I know some residents were certainly questioning the new system and stuff too. So I'm assuming we'll have a lot of public participation and or some type of input. So I'd certainly, give us a little extra, give the board or even you guys some extra time. I would, with it being a new change after a year.
Yeah, so I think for us it doesn't make too much of a difference, right? So we spend the day kind of prepping, for that anyway, just like any other budget that we have.
Mhm.
But hearing what you said, if we want to make sure, maybe we'll be a little bit earlier than we normally would. That way we do have a little bit of time to just digest things and not have to what I'd hate to do is set up the scenario where, we see something and we're not comfortable with the amount of time we've evaluated it and then have to make a decision. So I think adding an extra, period of time in there is, for lack of a better term, some fluff or wiggle room, wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. I think probably by the next time we meet, we should start thinking about that. And if anybody has any dates coming up, certainly in, the beginning, middle of May or the beginning of June that don't work, or that are absolutely, non-starters, at least then we can kind of get that out. That way we don't feel like we're trying to stretch or move too much around to fit the meetings in.
I may have a couple, and when I know, I will send them to you, just related to what I'm doing professionally. So I may have a couple of evenings where I would be out of the loop. And as soon as I have that information, I'll just send it to you, Joe, just as an FYI.
Yeah.
Joe, one thing I just wanted to throw out there that I think I had emailed you about at the time, but I know some of the chatter that I had seen on the community Facebook page were people complaining that the new system took effect on basically any bill that came out after July 1st. So if you were billed on July 10th for the previous quarter, you were paying the fiscal 21 new rate under the new system for water that was used before it was even voted in. So that's something I think we should pay a little attention to this year as to what date the rate takes effect, or whether we prorate bills on some calculation for, water used after a certain date. I know in Melrose, we just have all the bills take effect. The first bill that gets the new rate is the October bill. So basically, rather than prorate, because that is complicated, we, let people pay basically the old rate up through, for the people who were billed in, say, July and August, they get a month or 2 months at the old rate. And then the October people get the new rate. But once you implement that and then do it every year, it's fair that everybody's paying the current rate for a year, whatever that 1 year period is. It shifts for the different billing cycles. But it means that nobody's paying the new rate for water they used before it took effect, or before it was even presented. So that's one way of doing it. Prorating is another way of doing it. Actually trying to read bills and split the actual reads on, from the end of June is another option, but that's, that's more complicated and not necessarily worth the effort involved. But anyway, I think we should just think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. When we pull all the data together too, we have a better understanding, I think, of where retained earnings are too. So what's our reserve capacity in case we do that and put ourselves in a little bit of a shortfall, at least up front initially. So that's definitely something we could do for talking points and go through that. That shouldn't be too big of a deal. On the meter again, I guess one of the things we are doing is we're going to move forward and start to look into getting fixed base. So we've been talking to Census, and it seems like that is the propagation study for the antennaing that we need in town. Came back a lot better than I originally anticipated. So I think it's a project that we're going to be able to roll out over the summer, hopefully get into place before the fall, which will be super slick. As time goes on and we get to another meeting, we can review some of the things that this will open up. But basically, you're going to have a very interactive customer portal, I think is what they call it. We'll be able to implement things like if you're going on vacation, there's meter flowing, water flowing in your house, excuse me. This will text you and send you, flow alarms. We'll get them day to day. And then one of the cool things from our seat is that the analytics piece really goes, out of this world. We can get data almost down to the minute on demand. So, we'll be able to pinpoint, flows in different times and things like that to a degree of scrutiny that we've never been able to do before. And then every day we'll get an alarm from it too. So if somebody has a high event, we'll see it in live time and be able to make the phone call that day. Not 3 months later when we read the bills and see the effect of it through the meter. So that's something that's pretty cool that's coming up. I'm just waiting on a couple of more pieces from the manufacturer, but all signals look like we're headed in that direction, which I think is about time. Going to be a fantastic tool in the toolbox for everybody.
So Joe, is that a purchase or is it an upgrade from what you are using now?
No, so we have the hardware in place to do it, but we didn't have was the software. But we needed to finish the meter install program to get to that point.
I see.
We're at a point now where we're just ready for the software to be rolled out to get comfortable with it, and then we'll roll out a second piece, which would be like a customer portal.
I see.
I
So-
think part of the trouble for people last year was also that the the new rates took effect at the same time when people, at the end of a quarter, when people had been home more than they had ever been before. And so it was hard for people to really separate out what was the result of the changes that we made versus what was just more water use than they were used to having. And
Mhm.
then you always get the people on the Facebook page saying they got $1,000 water bill that they've never had before. And then you get the other people saying, oh, I got my water bill and it was, $10 more than usual or whatever. So I don't know what you're doing, but so there are always at least a few voices of reason, um, contradicting the people who say that something caused their water rate to go through the roof.
So outside of that, that's really it for me. Just thinking spring. I don't know if anybody else has anything? Town meeting, I guess I'll touch on that really quick. Town meeting, we have 3 articles. So I probably said this last time, but we have eminent domain for $1. That's our bread and butter. Refuse and recycling, obviously to fund the budgets for that. And then we do have one other article going in for a budget appropriation. That's to supplement some of the expenses we took from the damages in August when we got basically the hurricane that rolled through town. I'm optimistic that we'll be able to turn back most of that, but I do think that there might be a small piece that the town's going to have to, fund to balance out to the end of the year. Other than that, that's kind of where we are in the moment.
So just a question on that front, Joe, and just in thinking about how how variable the snow and ice removal budget is. And now we're just seeing all these wind events and so much tree damage and so much like post-storm pickup. You see the crews coming by and, crane has to be rented, etc. Is there a thought that we might want to just expand the snow and ice budget to just have it like be a general storm budget that would, be a little bit more forgiving so that you don't have to do whatever these kind of, I don't know if you would call this a forgiveness or when you go before the town council looking for help to get us out of this?
I'm sure I've never even contemplated kind of painting that with a broader brush, but you bring up an interesting piece, right? So let's say there is a turn back for unspent snow and ice. I'm sure that's going to be used to balance something somewhere, if not become, free cash available to the general fund. I'm hoping that that's not the case, although I think that history is starting to show us that it's a little bit different. We've incrementally been trying to build up at least the part of Dennis's budget for crane rental and things like that, to at least get it to a level where if we have one event where we spend 2 or 3 days needing that specialized equipment, we're not out of money.
Mhm.
So we've been kind of addressing it there. To go bigger than that, I guess you'd probably have to see if the longitudinal trend points to that, then certainly that's a conversation worth having. Especially if you can justify it by showing the expenses that you've incurred, over a period of X amount of years.
I'm just noticed, I guess I just notice, anecdotally as I drive around after these storms and I see, the tree limbs down, it just seems in the past couple of years, it seems very common now. Whereas even 5 years ago, if you saw tree limbs down, well, you'd say, well, I don't know, maybe a really bad storm, but now it seems like perhaps it's just a combination of so many of the trees around here being diseased, but
That one was weird too, because typically, you get that in the nature of the business that we do, right? We could generally move it out of the way and make it safe. That was just one after another after. That was, I don't know that nobody has any pictures of funnel clouds. Nobody has any data that predicts microbursts, but whatever that thing was,
yeah.
a 10 out of 10 and right here.
I will say though, the response time from the tree crews though was incredible. I had a big tree that I think came down on Otis Street, right near where I live, but within 45 minutes there was a crew on it chopping the thing up. And then 10 minutes later they're gone on to the next one. They move very efficiently. I'll say that.
One of the things, not that there was anything good about that at all, but I guess if you try to pluck some positive out of it, we were kind of solely affected. We'd probably still be picking trees up now if that was real widespread, throughout, the county or the state. So I guess we did have a little bit of a luxury there. If we called for it, we weren't being told no because it was somewhere else. But I would be completely fine with, avoiding that for the future altogether if the case could be that way, but time will tell.
You only have so much tree equipment. You don't have the tree equipment to keep up to something like that. I don't think anybody is probably equipped for that.
No, so a good example is like on the old cemetery, there's a big old tree in the middle of it that went down that
Ooh,
we would have been there for days. They literally had to crane it out because it was just the size of the thing was probably 48 inches around.
wow.
And it had grown into everything down there too. It was impressive. I don't know what the wind speed would have been, but I would have loved to have known because I'm sure that was triple digits
I'm sure.
and sustained. All in the matter of about what, 40 minutes?
Yeah, quick.
Right.
Real quick. Did anyone have anything else? Yeah.
No.
Next meeting, do you want to look at the calendars? See what we have?
Sure.
Sure.
Joe, you said town meetings, what is it?
May 8th.
8th. Okay. So
Yes.
May 8th.
So that'll be at the high school
Yeah.
on Saturday.
Did you
I
need
don't
us,
think,
you need us to meet after that?
no, I don't think so. We have everything before that
Mhm.
is all set. So I don't think we don't have anything deadline until after town meeting, which would be the rates. So
Okay.
we can meet before it, that's fine.
So
Or
to-
after it, whatever's easier for everybody's schedules.
So today's the 5th. So you want to meet, do you want to meet May 10th, 17th, 24th? What is everyone? I don't know what dates people prefer, or Joe, what you prefer that gives you guys time.
Those
I
are all
think-
good for me.
Me too. Yeah. Right now they're all good.
Yeah, I say they're good now, but I don't I don't know what the schedule is gonna bring. I don't know. Do you want to just make it for the 10th so you guys can put something down on the calendar? Is that all right?
That works for me.
May.
Yeah, let's do May 10th. If it's we'll do 5:30. If it's an expanded, agenda, we got a lot, we can always make it earlier at 5 if people can make it.
Excellent.
Sounds good.
So that was May 10th. Okay, 5:30. All right, the chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, guys.
All right.
Thanks,
See ya.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.